digital relationships, and wilding as a kid in the 90s. We gonna get into it. Let's get it! Welcome. First of all, welcome. This is Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, here to lead the conversation in important events and topics that is shaping today's society. Join the conversation and follow us wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for our video podcast, YouTube exclusive content, and our YouTube membership. Rate, review, like, comment, share. Share with your friends, share with your family, hell, even share with your enemies. On today's episode, I'll be talking about digital friendships. I'll be talking about Latchkey kids. And then me and my sisters are going to be dilly-daddling a little bit in the third segment. But that's enough of the intro. Let's get to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I want to do is apologize. Bruce is a little under the weather. I've been sick for about a week. That was not the reason why you guys haven't gotten any podcasts for the last week. The reason why you guys didn't get any podcasts for the last week, Thanksgiving. Like, we're going to take holiday vacations. The week of Christmas, also not going to get podcasts. Like, we're going to take vacations when everybody else is vacationing. The good thing is, once again, I cannot stress enough, we have hundreds of hours of content on our YouTube, whether it's our YouTube exclusive, our after hours uncensored sneak peek clips, our after hours uncensored show that's on our Patreon and YouTube membership. Hundreds of hours, literally. So if you're missing us, go ahead and jump on that page. But please excuse me. My voice is starting to come back, but I'm not all the way there. There's going to be a little bit of pauses because, trying to get myself back to being 100%. So this first segment, I'm going to be talking about something that's near and dear to all of us. No matter how old you are, we are all dealing and affected by this, and that's digital friendships. So I want to compare my growing up years, right? So I'm going to go back to being a 90s kid. I wasn't kids. I was just a singular person. A 90s kid having friendships. And how does that compare to now? Because growing up in the 90s, Windows 95 is when Instant Messenger started. I remember getting it in 95, 96. The internet was still very new. I'm of the analog and digital age. There are some kids that are just strictly digital age. So I wanted to give some context because I feel too often millennials, Gen Xers, and boomers are critiquing the younger generation and their friendships. And there are good and bad aspects of having digital or friendships in the digital age. There's a good aspect of growing up in the digital age and developing friendships with it. There are also some bad aspects. I think people too often, the older generations too often, focus on the bad and not focus on the good, which we all participate in. So why friendships feel different now? Social media has expanded how we connect, but also added pressure, comparison, and complexity to our relationships. In the 90s, friendships relied on face-to-face time, phone calls, shared real-life experiences. There were fewer connections, but often deeper ones. Look, let me tell you something. In the 90s, I remember this one story. I hope to God that this person is not following the podcast for the story that I'm about to tell. Now, granted, this story is literally from 32 years ago, maybe 31, but definitely around 31 or 32 years ago. I had a good friend that didn't live closest relative as a teenager, right? A mile away is like 2 million states away back in the day. I don't know how far he lived. It was probably a good mile away. And I go through my moods. I've always been this way where I don't feel like dealing with nobody. Like, that's just like I get not high and low. I get super personable and then drained, right? And it wasn't like I was hanging out with a lot of friends. Maybe I was at a lot of basketball camps or something was going on that particular day. All I wanted to do was chill, watch MTV, play with my wrestling man, play video games. I didn't want no company. My friend didn't tell me that he was going to stop by. And we lived in a house where I could see you coming up from the street. You would have to come up the driveway. And there were ways for us to look out in the windows without people being able to see that we were looking out from the windows. So my friend walks up to my house and rings the doorbell. And I saw him coming up the driveway because I could see out the window. And I was like, you know what? I really don't feel like hanging out today. Really don't. And I didn't answer that door. It was hot as hell. And he turned around and walked away. He didn't know that I didn't open the door. I could have just not been home. It's not like I was an adult and the car was in the driveway. I just didn't feel like answering the phone. But the point I'm trying to make with this story is like our connections were a lot fewer back in the day, right? Like you really had to plan in order to meet up and hang out with your friends, in order to talk to them, right? There was only one phone line in the house. And if that phone line was being taken up by the internet, which happened later on, then you couldn't even talk on the phone. So though our connections were fewer, they were deeper because they were through face-to-face phone calls and then just shared life experiences. But social media has made friendships better in a lot of regards. And I think that the older generation gets it as far as them, but they look down upon how the younger generations interact without recognizing the fact that we do the same shit. Here's some examples. Staying connected anywhere. Long distance friendships are easier to maintain. Real-time updates keep people involved in each other's lives. Platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp lets users organize reunions and to communicate instantly with their childhood friends, which was much harder in the 90s. Look, if you called the house and your friend wasn't there, good luck finding them. Right? Like that instantaneous connection we didn't have in the 90s. And if our friends went away for the summer, went to a summer camp and didn't have access for the phone, that just meant that we weren't talking to them for a whole summer, days. That type of situation doesn't happen now unless a person doesn't want to talk to you, right? Like we have access to people all the time. It's good and bad, but in the aspect of maintaining relationships, friendships, what have you, social media and the digital age is great at keeping us connected. Online communities also, along with group chats, help people meet others with shared interests who they never would have encountered in the 90s. In the 90s, our friends were who we went to school with. High school, middle school and high school is where we started to click up, where we would have people that, that had similar interests in us. But I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was like, how many of your high school friends are still your friends? And they were like, none. Now, I got two of my closest friends that I've known since high school, and they've known each other since elementary school. That's extremely rare. Typically, when you go off as an adult, you find these groups where you have these shared interests because the pool of people that you can meet and talk to is larger. I'm talking about back in the day. Now, through the digital age, social media, all that's at the palm of your hands, right? And you can connect with these people. Reddit is a prime example. I've been on Reddit so much. These subreddits, you meet so many people who have your similar interests, your similar ideas. The world is now open up to you. So you could have more connections. You also have more emotional outlets. Some people find it easier to open up online and in digital spaces because they find the support is easier. It's more comfortable. It's not uncomfortable. It's more comfortable to do online as opposed to that uncomfortable feeling of doing things face to face. You know, we've grown up in the age of ghosting, and ghosting was a new thing. Ghosting became about because digital allowed us to ghost. I never ghosted no females when I was dating back in the day. You couldn't ghost them. You went to school with them. You couldn't ghost. Now you can straight up ghost people. And not just dating relationships, not just in friendships. Yo, I'm learning in the corporate world, corporations are ghosting people, and people are ghosting corporations. You know why? Because it's extremely uncomfortable to deal with that type of personal, emotional interaction face to face. Basically, people are scared and they're punks. And I've been one of them. So I'm not calling anybody else out there for something that I haven't done. But that's what the digital age gives you. Ghosting. But the opposite end of that, the ability to open up and be more open. I know for a fact, as somebody who's done therapy, it is a lot easier for me to hire a therapist that has no personal connection to me than it is for me to talk to somebody that I love. Now, that's my own issues, but it is easier for me to let down my guard to a stranger that I'm paying than it is for somebody that I love. And it's more because whatever I tell the therapist, I don't care if they're affected by it emotionally. I do care if the people I love are affected by it. But that was some of the good stuff. There is some ways in which the digital age and social media have made relationships worse. And I know this is what a lot of the older generation is talking about. And I say older generation, I include myself in it, even although I don't necessarily agree with the consensus from older generation that social media and digital relationships are horrible. I don't agree with that. But I do agree that some of the next couple of things that I'm getting ready to talk about, social media made worse as far as relationships. So, number one, shallow, surface level bonds. You have more friends, but fewer close ones. Digital connections often lack emotional depth. Research reveals that traditional offline friendships reach deeper emotional levels than digital-only bonds. And that's absolutely true. Somebody once said to me, there are some people listening to this show and they're going to be disappointed. Sorry, I'm just being real. There's a lot of people out there that have a connection with me through social media and things of that nature, and we are friendly. We ain't friends. Not friends in the regard that I categorize people that would be friends. That's a special bond to me. I only got a few. And I've remained steadfast, and I keep my circle really tight. I keep it really small for a reason. I don't know, I got trust issues or whatever. It's really, really tight, really close-knit circle. But there are people out there, because they have access to my life, whatever I post online or doing this podcast, that feel like they are absolutely my friend. And I say to them all the time, what do you know about me emotionally? Like how are we connected outside of what I present on social media, which is almost not even surface level, right? Like I rarely put myself out there on social media. I'm not one of those type of people that you're going to ever see crying on social media. I'm going to keep that super private. So yes, one of the problems with social media and the digital age is that you have more friends. They're just not close. It also creates a highlight reel pressure. Seeing everyone's best moments creates comparison, jealousy, and insecurity. Now, not for me, because I'm a cheerleader. If I rock with you, I want you to do your absolute best. I'm not in comparison or in competition with nobody but myself. That's me personally. And I've kind of always been like that. I've always kind of been my own man. But I understand how seeing other people and all of their best moments would cause some people to feel insecurity and jealousy. Like, I get it. And that's kind of what the digital age of social media does, because people don't be putting out their bad moments. And those that do are, I always say, are seeking attention. So it doesn't seem genuine. But that's also a problem in the social media and digital age. Digital stress. Now, this was a new one for me, but as I explain it, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Feeling obligated to respond, be present, and perform online. Disappointment or conflict arises when expectations aren't met. Yo, I got so many DMs in my Instagram. The majority of the time, I just don't answer them. And now people kind of get that now. It took me a long time to train people. Like, I'm not going to respond to every DM. If it's a direct question or something like that, something I need to respond to, I respond to. If you send me a reel, I'm not going to make a comment on every single one. I've got too many in my DMs, right? Because a lot of people communicate with me like that. I communicate with a lot of people like that. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to allow that stress of seeing the notifications build up so much inside of me that it affects me. So I just don't. But I used to feel that way. I used to hate having notifications in my text messages or my emails or my Instagram or on TikTok or back in the day when I did use Twitter. I used to have to respond to it because I didn't like it and I didn't want people to feel like I was ignoring them. Teens may feel hurt or excluded if a friend's online activity excludes them and intensifies feelings of jealousy and loneliness. So this is all a part of digital stress. So these are reasons why digital relationships through social media can cause problems. Another one, miscommunication and conflict. Lack of tone, context, and body language leads to friction that wasn't as common in the 90s. Look, me and my sister was talking about it not too long ago. Having whole ass conversations, important conversations through text messages, dead that. Too much miscommunication can be read through words. We need to talk and we need to have a face-to-face conversation. And also the last one, less impersonal time. Online interaction replaces real world bonding that builds stronger relationships. That can't be, denied. Like, we are not hanging out person to person anymore. One of my friends stopped by the other day on Thanksgiving because they were here in my building. I hadn't seen her in, I don't know, 7, 8 months. And we were like, why has that been? Like, we're friends. Why have we not seen each other? And she was like, you're busy. And I am. Very rarely do I have free time. I am busy. But also, you got to start making time for the people that matter to you. You can't fall victim to this text messaging, DMing, and reels and think that that's sufficient enough to maintain a friendship. I've lost friendships because I don't have time for them or I don't make time for them. And I'm not the only one out there that does these type of things. So, Bruce, you gave us the pros and the cons of friendships in the digital age. How do you build real friendships today? Number one, set boundaries with apps specifically to reduce comparison and stress. Prioritize face-to-face time. The strongest bonds still form offline. You got to make that time for those people that you care about, like I said earlier. Practice emotional honesty in communication, whether you're online or in person. You got to be emotionally honest. People out here being emotionally dishonest. People out here lying, not only to others, but also to themselves. Got to be emotionally honest. Avoid the comparison trap. Remember, social media is curated. It's not real. Okay, that's not real life. And then lead with empathy. Assume good intentions, check tone, and clarify before reacting. That's important if you're communicating through DMs or text messages. Just check in and be like, did I hear you correctly? Did I read this correctly? Was this what you meant to say? And not in a, what you say to me type check-in tone, just in a, hey, what'd you mean by this type of tone. These are all ways to build strong bonds and relationships. And also realize that not every relationship that you have on social media is a true friendship. Technology, for all those people out there, for you boomers, you Gen X, and some of you millennials out here that are blaming technology for the decline of friendships and relationships. Technology didn't ruin friendships. It didn't ruin relationships. It just changed the rules. The goal today is balance. Use social media to connect, not replace genuine interaction. And if you do that, the bonds that you've been forming since the 90s gonna stay strong. Stop blaming the internet for everything. Start looking within, taking accountability, and make some changes. I came across this article the other day and I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. In the 90s, we were latchkey kids, right? Key up under the doormat, key up under, whatever. Go into the house, don't open the door for nobody. And we were home all day until our parents got home. We were out all day when our parents were home outside playing. They didn't know where we were half the time. We was out here running the streets being wild. We wasn't being that wild, but we were just out here. But this article that I came across, it was just a revisited article on MSN.com. And I was like, yeah, we was latchkey kids, but this shit is crazy. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. So David and Sharon Schwu made headlines in December 1992 when they left their two daughters, Nicole, who was 9, and Diane, who were 4, alone for 9 days in their St. Charles, Illinois home while vacationing in Mexico. Let me break that down for you one more again. Two parents, David and Sharon Schwu, left their 2 single-digit kids, Nicole, who was 9, Diane, who was 4, in the home by themselves while David and Sharon went to Mexico on vacation. Their case shocked the nation and directly led to changes in the Illinois law on child abandonment and neglect. There's more to the story, right? There's got to be more to the story. So let me break this down for you. Schwus departed without giving their daughters any way to contact them, instead leaving frozen dinners, cereal, and a note cautioning them to not overeat. The girls ran to a neighbor's house after a smoke alarm went off, which led to police intervention. I'll get to the police intervention in a minute. But for my millennials out there, Gen X, hell, even boomers, but more so Gen X and millennials, y'all remember coming home to a note. If you were fancy enough, you had a notepad by the phone. If not, then it was a piece of mail that had a note on that your mom or dad had written of things for you to do and numbers to call if you needed to contact them. Hell, we was calling our parents, asking them if we could eat a Hostess cake or get some ice cream. We knew how to get in contact with our parents. David and Sharon went to Mexico, left their 9 and 4-year-old kid frozen dinners and a note not to overeat. No way to contact them. They by themselves for days. After returning from Acapulco, the Schwus were arrested at O'Hare Airport and charged with child abandonment, neglect, endangerment, and cruelty to children. Further investigation revealed additional acts of mistreatment, including locking the girls in the room for hours, beatings with belts, and hair pulling. The couple faced 64 criminal counts, but ultimately accepted a plea agreement, pleading guilty to misdemeanor child neglect. Their sentence included 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service, avoiding jail time. The children were placed in foster care, and according to later court records, were eventually adopted after their parents gave them up voluntarily. The case exposed vague language in Illinois child neglect statutes. At the time, abandonment was not clearly defined. Lawmakers moved swiftly to change legislation in 1993, making it illegal to intentionally leave a child under the age of 14 alone for 24 hours or more. Threshold inspired by the Shrew case, Illinois became one of the first states to set a specific minimum age for unsupervised children, though critics argue that it has led to excessively broad applications in later years. Okay. Why did I bring this up? One, I thought it was a fascinating story. I'd never heard it before. I was in Illinois around this time. No, I was out. I was going to Illinois. But shortly before, I was still in Illinois. So there was that personal connection. And then there was a connection of, yeah, my parents would take off for a weekend, but I was literally in high school watching my brother and sister, like 15, 16, and watching them for the weekend. And, there's a 4-year difference between me and my sister, and a 5.5-year difference. So if I'm 16, my sister is 12, my brother is 10 and a half. Sometimes he's 11, depending on what time of the year, right? As long as I'm there to take the lead, that's fine. And it says unsupervised children under the age of 14. But I think there might have been times where I'm not sure. I would have to talk to my parents about that. But there were definitely times where, I was the babysitter and my parents were gone for a day or something like that. Leave us food and for a pizza and things like that. You as a parent, like, your kids, what you can allow them to do, what they are capable of, and what they aren't. Why did I find this story fascinating? I found the story fascinating because how the hell are you going to just go to Acapulco for a week, leave your kids there who are not even 10, and think that that's going to be okay? And the story actually broke down. This wasn't the first time. This was just the longest time that they had done that. And it's clear that they didn't even want the kids because they just gave them up voluntarily, right? Which is what they should have done in the first place. So that's the reason why this article interests me. But then the outcome of the case is what really, really interested me. Oftentimes, when bad things happen, and this was bad, the girls ultimately were okay. Thank God for the neighbor, right? It could have been way worse. But when bad things happen, we as humans tend to overreact. And to say the age of 14, which is high school, is the age of which you can't leave kids unattended for a certain period of time, I can tell you for a fact that I was 10 years old watching my brother and sister. We were just fine. Now, my parents might have gone out for the night, right? Going out to dinner that night, have a little date night, and I watch them, my brother and sister, they came home that night. So maybe they'd be gone for 3 or 4 hours later in the evening, and I would have to get my brother and sister to go to bed. Obviously, there's levels to maturity for children. But too often I see this throughout history. Too often I see something bad happens, and then to fix that bad thing, there's an overreaction. Think about everything that's illegal right now. Remember Prohibition? I was just talking to somebody about this earlier. Remember Prohibition? Prohibition was the outlawing of alcohol, consumption of alcohol, right? And production of alcohol. They wanted to stop people from drinking so much. What happened? One, people didn't stop drinking. And an unintended consequence of what happened was these little gangs that had no type of organization actually gained organization through Prohibition, creating organized crime, which stretched its tentacles all throughout American society that eventually cost average American citizens money because they had control of the garment districts. They had control of the poultry. They had control of everything. An overreaction to fentanyl overdoses are illegally bombing boats that you say are drug boats, but you got no proof about it. An overreaction to a bad thing never leads to anything good. And so, yeah, there are child abandonment laws, and, I don't necessarily agree with beating your kids. I joke all the time on here about beating your kids, right? And obviously it's a joke, right? But there are some times where a spanking is warranted. I'm not talking about a beating, right? I joke about a beating, but a smack on the butt, especially for a little kid, there are some times where that is warranted, where reasoning won't work. And they made that so it was illegal. Now, became illegal because some parents were absolutely wilding. But it's an overreaction, because I would say the majority of parents were not out there wilding out. The crack epidemic explodes in the 90s. Their reaction, everybody's reaction. The sentencing fell on racial lines, but make no mistake about it. Black folks in those communities were also co-signing the 1994 crime bill that just flooded the prisons with simple possession charges, right? You get years for simple possession charges. And did that stop people from smoking crack? Nope, people still smoke crack today. Today. And 1994 was a long time ago. The point I'm trying to make is an overreaction to something that's bad or horrific never leads to anything good. I know it is tough to take a deep breath, remain measured, and think logically about how to solve a problem. What the shoes did absolutely was a problem, right? Like, that is a simple fix. You don't leave your kids unattended for a certain period of time. Their ages you might have to play with. But I think a simple line of you don't leave kids that are unable to maturely take care of themselves for an extended period of time. I know it's kind of vague. I know it's very general. It's not throwing the hammer down, which everybody wants to do anytime something bad happens. But once again, when you do that, nothing good ever comes from it. The good thing that came from this is child abandonment is an issue that needed to be addressed. Did they go a little too far? I don't know, 14 years, over 24 hours. I think 13 is a good time. What are you going to do with 24 hours is a long time also. I don't know, parents out there, leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think. How long would you leave your kids alone, right? How long would you trust them not to burn down the house? I don't know what that time frame is. But the reason why this all interests me was because, wow, some parents out there wilding, and it's not always the way that you think it would be. Sometimes it's just bona fide neglect. 9 and 4, I would love to do a follow-up to find out, because they're a little bit younger than my brother, right? I would think that Nicole is my sister's age, close to it. And Diane is a little bit younger than my brother. So they're adults. They're getting ready to hit, one is in their 40s, one is getting ready to hit their 40s. I would love to see how their life turned out. I would love to see or know how, they felt affected by what their parents did. Nicole and Diane Shu, if any chance this hits you or you see this, love to have you on the show. Would love to ask you so many questions, because I feel like this is a fascinating story, not just about how that early upbringing affected you in your adult years, not just about how that neglect and the parents just saying, we don't want anything to do with it, how you felt by that, but also the case law that came after it. I'm not a parent, but I'm somebody's child. And we were all by ourselves back in the home back in the day, not for a whole week where our parents were in Acapulco. That never happened. But wow, to not even have their neighbors say, hey, look, we're going to be gone for a week. We're going to leave the girls at the house. Maybe you check in on them every day. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy time. But what's also crazy time is if you're not careful, and I can't stress this enough, if you're not careful, you can have an overreaction to something that can be horrific or is horrific, and it only causes more damage. It's just something to think about, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm just asking the question. All I'm saying is maybe, just maybe, before we react, we take a step back, observe, and then move forward. Just take a breath. That's all we got to do if we want to solve problems. All right, Jay, I got you on here for a special episode. One, because I'm a little under the weather and I need help to carry the show. And two, because there was some important stuff that happened that we took our little break on Thanksgiving and we couldn't address. One of them being Marjorie Taylor Greene deciding to retire from Congress. Mm-hmm. So Marjorie Taylor Greene announced that she was leaving Congress in a way that lets her qualify for a federal pension under the same FERS rules that apply to all members, which sparked criticism that she timed her retirement to lock in taxpayer-funded benefits. So we all know that she's been beefing with Trump. She took about a week of Trump bashing her, which is just a week. AOC and Jasmine Crockett have been taking so much more. And she decided to hang it up. But she decided to hang it up while also getting this pension and also still voting along Republican lines. So I know you were a little bit tiffed about all of this. I want to give you an opportunity to explain to the audience why you're annoyed by all of this.
Yeah, I'm annoyed because she's annoying. So she announced her retirement, or that she was resigning from the U.S. House of Representatives on November 21st via a video she posted on social media. And the reasons that she gives for why she is resigning is like disillusionment with the toxic partisanship and internal conflict within her party and the public falling out with Trump, right? And she said she essentially didn't want her district to be subjected to a hurtful and hateful primary, right? So her resignation effective date is January 5th of 2026. That will be her final day in Congress. So here's why that's important, okay? Why January 5th, 2026 is important. Because she began serving in Congress on January 3rd, 2021, her resignation date gives her just over the 5-year minimum required to qualify for a congressional pension, right? The pension typically would amount to about $265,000 over her lifetime. It's like $8,700 a year. It's not a lot, right? That's not really, it's extra money, but it's not that much, right? But like, here's also what's important, right? Yeah, she qualifies for her pension, and that pension is minor relative to her net worth, which is about $25 million. And now you can say, make insider trading claims, but the point is, sis has massively benefited from being in Congress. Her whole thing about like disillusionment and I wanted to drain the swamp, but it can't, whatever. Like, it's bull. Like it's bull, right? So she gets she wanted to make sure she's gonna get that 265,000, right? She gonna make sure she get that, right? That's how much the benefit will pay like over the lifetime, like with a typical life expectancy. And not to mention that she's made millions, tens of millions, right? In this seat. So it's it's bull, number one. Critics have argued that the timing of her resignation isn't an accident, that she timed it so she could secure her pension. And then among her constituents here in Georgia, it's pretty divided. Like, right? Some focus on her controversial legacy and, the desire for new leadership. Some, you know, see the resignation as a chance for change because they're tired of like cost of living, healthcare affordability, housing affordability, things like that. But anyway, the point is she's full of crap. She wanted to make sure she secured that extra little bit of change in addition to the tens of millions that she made. She did nothing. Like, let's also be clear, she did nothing. Put forth bills, I think, but like none of them went anywhere because they were all rooted in just hate. So she came to Congress. She did nothing for her constituents. She made a buttload of money, and she's gonna get a pension on our dime. So there you have it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, good riddance. You are a colossal waste of space, and I hope that you fade into obscurity like Sarah Palin.
With all your millions. What she did was what she did, we've seen this movie. Eddie Murphy did a movie about getting into Congress, scheming and plotting, because he was a con artist in the movie called Distinguished Gentleman. Getting in, getting all this money, getting all these kickbacks and getting out. Also, he was from Florida, not Georgia, but the South. Y'all are neighbors.
Right. Yes.
And that's all she did was a grift. You know what? Get your money, boo-boo.
No.
Yeah, no, get your money. And like, whatever. Like, that's the American way. The American way is to scam and get your money.
Now that's true. Scamming is 100% the American way.
And scamming is Georgia.
Georgia, let me tell you something. Scam capital of the world.
I mean, they got it. Atlanta and Miami got a good run for their money as far as scam capital of the world.
Yeah. But right. Full scamming. You're like, how are people in luxury apartments with no job? Scams.
I'm going to do a little detour because once again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't feel too good. Y'all are getting the best that I could give to you right now. Speaking of Eddie Murphy, I watched the documentary. The Eddie Murphy documentary on Netflix is really good. And what I learned is that Eddie Murphy is neurodivergent ADHD.
Yes. You knew, you could tell that from movies like The Clumps where he's playing every character. It isn't because he thinks he's the only funny person in the world. It's because he's got a bunch of characters running around in his mind at all times and he has to get it out. Like, he has to. Yeah. No.
Did you notice though? He was like, I remember I had OCD. I would get up and check and make sure the stove was off, and I would lay down for about an hour and then get up and check the stove was off. And I remember watching the program, and the program was like, "Oh, this is something." And he was like, "Oh, this is something." And then it was like mental health. Oh, hell no, I ain't gonna have no mental health issues. And then I just stopped. I was like, wait a minute, bro. That's not how that works. Okay, you don't.
I mean, it is for for Black folks of that generation, right? Like, it is. Like, but that OCD do not prioritize their mental health.
Don't prioritize their mental health. He also said he used to make these little sounds. He might have a touch of autism as well.
Yeah, vocal stemming for sure. Yeah,
he can't just be quiet like he's walking around the house doing stuff, making little jokes and stuff. I mean, but I do all these same things. This is what I learned, that Eddie Murphy is neurodivergent, ADHD. He got it all. Little touch
Yeah,
of the tism, all of it.
and you know it too by the amount of ad-libbing that he does, right? Like he can't be quiet in a scene. He
Right.
gotta when you think of love, like that wasn't part of the scene. That wasn't in the script. That was just Roxanne. Also, when he sang Roxanne, not in the script. So like these are, but he can't be quiet.
No.
Right? He has to make noises. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely on the spectrum for sure.
Still great. I forgot.
That's
It's
part of what makes him funny.
right. And he's hilarious. It's interesting watching that documentary. And I heard this before when he was doing Harlem Nights. And he was just like, oh, Red Fox is the funniest person, just naturally funniest person that I've ever been around. He's
Yeah.
just like, you just be hanging around Red Fox. Red Fox is funny. And I feel like people say that about Eddie. When
Yes.
Chris Rock and Kevin Hart and they say that Dave Chappelle say they go to his house just to hang out. It's like Eddie's just funny without
He's
ever
not
trying to
meaning
be
to
funny.
be.
Yes,
No, he's not
just
meaning to be.
funny.
Eh, You see it in his interviews too, right? Like whenever he's on talk shows or any I loved his Inside the Actor Studio. He can't help but say something funny. And it's like I think he was trying to be serious, but he just and literally just seeing Eddie Murphy makes me start to giggle in anticipation of what he's going to say. But even when he's just trying to say something in general, he can't help it. It's gonna be something comical about it.
I do not think that he could come back to stand up. Not because he can't do it, just because no matter how great it is, it won't be great enough. Because I don't think you can
Yeah.
live up to. It'd be like it'd be like if you could pluck Michael Jordan in his prime, right? What he was that everybody gives his reverence to, and put him in the league right now. He'd be great. He'd be the best player in the league. But no matter what he did, it wouldn't be great enough. You're like, he only dropped 40? Why didn't he get 45? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to be anticipating Eddie saying something funny. Kind of like Coming to America 2. That's exactly
Yeah.
what, if
Yeah.
Coming to America 2,
or Run Tell That.
you know what?
Martin Lawrence.
I don't even remember watching that.
Exactly.
But like Coming to America, if it hadn't been called Coming to America 2, that's a funny movie.
Yeah.
That's a really funny movie.
Yes, but in comparison,
But if that's right. So
Yeah.
when he was like, yeah, I get the itch and then, maybe I'm like, don't do it, brother. Just don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't
Yeah.
do it. You haven't done it in
let
35 years.
Raw and Delirious be what they are. There's no need. I know there are people who talk about it, right? Who talk about him coming back. But honestly, we don't need it. You've given us more than enough. You've given us more than enough for a lifetime, for multiple lifetimes. Like just like retire to stand up on top. Just leave it where it is, retire it on top. Like that, we're fine with that. We're totally fine with that.
Yeah, I am. I don't need another stand up because I don't. Here's the crazy thing. When Michael Jordan came back and played for the Wizards, he was actually good.
Yeah.
He was actually good, but he wasn't Michael Jordan. Right. And so like Muhammad Ali's last fight, like Mike Tyson's last fight, like when we saw Mike Tyson take on Jake Paul, it was like, nah, I don't want to see that.
Yeah. Yes,
You know?
that was also what immediately came to mind. It's like it honestly for Jake Paul, you don't really get any points for that. You don't really get any cool points for that because this is like a 60-year-old man.
That I knew as soon as he
So
tripped on the entrance, I was like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. This man can
yeah,
barely
like
walk.
you're not fighting Iron Mike Tyson.
And he would die. He would
Yes.
die. if
You
he
would
fought.
die.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Just dead.
You would die. Yeah. You're not fighting Iron Mike Tyson. You're fighting a grandfather, right? And that's the kind of the same thing with Eddie Murphy. Like we wouldn't be getting young Eddie Murphy, raw Eddie Murphy delirious. We'd be getting Eddie the grandfather. Like it's a different Eddie. He's in a different phase of his life.
Which would still be funny.
No shade because we still want the movies, Eddie. Like we still want those. I don't know if you saw, it was just a small movie. I think it was on Netflix. The Pickup.
With Keke Palmer and the dude
The kid
from
from SNL.
SNL.
Yeah.
Tommy, I want to say Tommy Davidson. It is obviously not Tommy Davidson, but his name is like David or Davidson something in
Pete
there.
Davidson. Pete Davidson.
Yeah, Pete Davidson.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was funny. I thought it was funny. Like, we still want the movies, Eddie. We don't want that to stop. But like, the stand up, you're in a different phase of life. And so the stand up that we would be expecting is not the one we're going to get. Would it be funny? Of course, it's Eddie Murphy. Yes, it would be funny. But still, there would be an expectation there that we're just not going to get the same thing. Like, I keep expecting Killing Him Softly from Dave Chappelle and just have not been getting it for like the past
Hold on.
half a dozen.
The reason why you don't find Dave Chappelle funny is because of his continuous jokes on trans people.
Even if we cut those, like even if
No,
we cut
if
them,
you
even
cut
if I
those,
mute them, nah,
he's
I'm not
hilarious.
getting
He's still
I'm not getting that. Hey, baby, like I'm not getting the same. Like post Chappelle show is a different Dave Chappelle.
you're right. It's a different Dave Chappelle. I think he's actually more brilliant aside from his trans jokes. Like when I watch his stand-ups, it's just like he's got it. And even Eddie was like, yeah, when I think about the greatest stand-up right now, it'd be Chappelle. Chappelle will be in that era where I
Yeah,
was, or Richard Pryor, because he is.
yeah.
But it goes to another larger issue of when people do things great and then they take a long time off. I almost would be like, nah, don't
Yeah,
don't
we don't
don't
need
don't
another
yeah.
Lauryn Hill album. Don't I
No,
know there's not one in the works. I know there's never going to be one in the works. But Miseducation, we don't need another. That's
I
enough
wouldn't
for
mind
us.
another Outcast album. That's something that I
That
wouldn't.
that yes.
That's something that
But
I wouldn't mind.
but it has to be a like really there's no classic one. Like you could say AT Aliens was like their classic, but I even like when they started like venturing out into different things like I even like, Aquemini and
Aquemini is my favorite.
Stankonia.
Aquemini is my
Aquemini
favorite.
is my favorite album.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure. And Stankonia when they're venturing out into different sounds. I just don't like, okay. I don't want the flute. Like
I don't want that
I don't
flute
want the
either.
flute.
Take that
If
flute and throw it.
he's gonna team if Andre 3000 is gonna team back up with Big Boy, you gotta give us hip hop. Like give us hip hop. It could be, still like representative of where they are right now in their lives and things like that. But give us hip hop. Like I know that you both can absolutely do.
Yeah, I mean, some people take a while off, and I'm just like, I'm good. Like
Yeah.
the only person that took a while off, and then actually he didn't. I want to say Jay-Z. He took a while off from the rap that I liked. He had a couple of albums after the Black album. He did some other albums, and it was like that grown up rap, and I was like, I'm not feeling
Yeah.
this.
It
Like
should
I'm not.
have honestly like he marketed the Black album like that was it. Like that was
It
his
was supposed to be.
finale.
It was supposed to be.
And it should have been.
Well, nope, because then he came. He had some albums I mean, he had some great songs like New York with Alicia Keys is a great song, but like those albums, I'm not really feeling.
Yeah.
American Gangster, when he went back, when he took it back to his drug dealing Reasonable Doubt, I love that album.
That's a soundtrack.
There is a soundtrack album, but he was inspired by watching the movie and went and did a
Okay.
whole album. They gave him like an early cut of the movie. He got an early screening of the movie, and he
Yeah.
got so inspired by watching the movie, Denzel and all that stuff, that he went out and made an album, American Gangster. But it's not the soundtrack to American Gangster. There's an American Gangster soundtrack, but there's an album, American Gangster, and it is
Well,
it,
no,
it
go
it's
ahead.
like it's Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint, and then I almost have to throw American Gangster in there. American Gangster might be my third favorite. Like I love that album.
I don't think I've heard it actually.
Yeah,
I
Hello
think
Brooklyn, Rock Boys.
doesn't
Oh,
ring a bell.
you gotta listen to it today.
Doesn't ring a bell. But I'll tell you somebody who waited a really long time and came out with an amazing album. God rest him, D'Angelo. So Voodoo came out in 2020, and then Black Messiah came out in 2024. I mean 2014. So it was like a
You mean
15 year.
2000? 2000, and then in
Yes,
2014.
Voodoo came out in 2000. Black Messiah came out in 2014. Yes.
Don't know that
So
I
he
heard that
took,
album.
oh, top tier. I went to hear him live at this place called Tabernacle. So I'm very happy that I at least got to see D'Angelo in concert. He did like 89 encores. It was fantastic. My feet were killing me. It was wonderful. Yeah, great album. But 15 years, 15-year gap.
Well, I guess if you great, you can do it.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
For the most part,
yeah, I
like
don't
leave
leave it
it on
alone.
leave on top. Leave
Yeah.
on. And I get though as an artist still wanting to make work, like still wanting to create art. Like I get that. So I guess it's hard for us as an audience to be like, we're good. You made a masterpiece and that was enough. Like, we're good. But them also still being like, yeah, but I'm not dead yet. Like I would like to keep creating.
To me, you are. To me, you're
So
dead.
yes, it's tough. I don't know. Come up with a new persona, change your name, be a different artist or something like that.
Something
Maybe
like that.
just reinvent yourself or something. I don't know. Maybe that's the key to the longevity, right? Because Beyonce for every album is reinvented.
Yeah,
So
but it's
like, maybe
consistent though. She doesn't take long breaks.
that's true. That's true.
If
She
you
doesn't.
if you're doing it consistently, cool. I'm talking about those artists that take long breaks and whatever they do,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
the only other person that's an actor that took a really long break and then came back and gave a masterpiece performance.
I
Joe
think we're
Pesci.
thinking of the same person.
Joe
Yep.
Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci came back, and the movie itself is a big lie. But The Irishman,
Yeah.
his acting in The Irishman, good God. When you're
Yeah.
in a movie with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, and it's a Martin Scorsese joint. I don't know why I say it like it's Spike Lee, but Martin
Right.
Scorsese joint.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci is the
Yeah.
best actor in that movie, and he is
Yeah.
brilliant. So, but not
He's
everybody
an
can do.
amazing actor. A lot of people, he's because he's done a lot of comedy in his career, people forget that he is actually an amazing dramatic actor. You know who else is like that? John C. Riley, because he did a lot of work with like, oh my God, what's his name from Saturday Night Live? They did Step Brothers together. Will Ferrell.
Ferrell.
Yeah, because he did a lot of comedy. People forget that his early career and a lot of it was dramatic acting. And so
He played
people,
Doctor. He played Dr. Jerry Buss in the HBO series Showtime. Brilliant. John C. Riley is one of my favorite actors. People forget that he was in Boogie Nights
yes,
and Talladega Nights. Like he
yes,
has this.
yes.
He has this. And whenever him and Will Ferrell are in a movie together, he's the
gonna
funnier
laugh.
one to me. He had one
Yes,
line in Guardians of the Galaxy. He had not, it was more than one line, but he had this
yes,
line in Guardians of the Galaxy. And there was like something like, is he an asshole? Is he a 100% asshole or a dick or something like that? And John
yeah,
C. Riley was like, well, nobody is a all 100% dick all the time. And it was
yeah,
just this
yeah,
one
yeah,
line that was just classic. He's
yeah.
fantastic. But
He's
he's
fantastic.
always working. He doesn't take breaks. We were talking about people that take
Right.
long
Yeah, yeah,
breaks.
yeah, yeah.
But
But like just people being underestimated. Yeah. But yeah, Joe Pesci. And I just think it's because he just retired prematurely. He just
did
never
he? He's
lost it.
old.
I don't there is a lot of old folks out there still acting. I think Joe had more in him. We obviously see it in The Irishman. Like I feel like there was still more there. And so but yeah, long break, came back, killed it.
I think some people confuse just because people are good at something that's what they love to do.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
But
athletes that play professional sports that are good at the sport. They don't necessarily love it. They
yeah.
don't love it.
And typically with the arts, you love the creation of it, you don't love the business of it. And so like I have a friend, excellent chef, will never open a restaurant because she doesn't like the business of it.
Yeah.
She just likes creating and watching people enjoy what she makes. But like the business side of it, no interest in it, none. So I get that the business, I think, becomes overwhelming. And this is what I'm saying specifically for the arts.
Yeah.
Typically people get into the arts, you ain't doing it for the money. Like you're really not, because the
Nah.
chances are 9 times out of 10
It
you
ain't
ain't gonna
work.
make no money out of it. Yeah. It's very rare that you become a star in music, in movies, television, whatever it is, writing, it's art, visual art, whatever. You very rarely become a star. How many Basquiat's are there?
I guess it's only one.
One. So I think you do it because you love it, but the business can take a toll on you.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to, and y'all should thank my sister for coming on and helping me out. Her long-winded ass carried the whole segment, and I needed to help because I'm over here struggling. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, I'll holler. Woo! That was a hell of a show. Thank you for rocking with us here on Unsolicited Perspectives with Bruce Anthony. Now, before you go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share our podcast wherever you're listening or watching it to it. Pass it along to your friends. If you enjoy it, that means the people that you rock will enjoy it also. So share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the noise. And for all those people that say, well, I don't have a YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can actually watch our video podcast and YouTube exclusive content. But the real party is on our Patreon page, After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight-ish. After Hours Uncensored is another show with my sister. And once again, the key word there is uncensored. Those are exclusively on our Patreon page. Jump onto our website at unsolicitedperspectives.com for all things us. That's where you can get all of our audio, video, our blogs, and even buy our merch. And if you really feel generous and want to help us out, you can donate on our donations page. Donations go strictly to improving our software and hardware so we can keep giving you guys good content that you can clearly listen to and that you can clearly see. So any donation would be appreciative. Most importantly, I want to say thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And I'll catch you next time. Audi 5000. Peace.